Let me start with this: nothing brings out a person's true nature faster than responsibility, especially when they're desperate to avoid it. My senior coworker spent an entire month dropping hints, manipulating conversations, and cornering me with suggestions, all to get me to drive him during a supplier visit he was personally responsible for. But he didn't realize I grew up dealing with men just like him, the kind who underestimate you, pile their work on you, then expect you to smile about it. So I built a plan. A small plan. A quiet plan. A plan fueled entirely by spite, and when it unfolded, he had no idea what hit him. If you've ever been underestimated, overworked, or treated like you're invisible, then you're in the right place. Hit subscribe, like, and comment your own revenge story, because today's tale isn't just about payback. It's about reclaiming dignity in a place where everyone expects you to just deal with it. Now, let's dive in. My name doesn't really matter, but what you need to know is this: I work in a male-dominated industry. I am one of only 2 people in my department who even have a different degree from the rest, which already paints a target on my back. And on top of that, I'm a woman working in a place where traditional hierarchy isn't just a norm, it's a religion. In other words, being too direct can cost you your job. Being difficult gets you labeled. And being not a team player? That's practically a career death sentence. So no, I don't confront people head-on. Not here. Not in this country. Instead, I've learned to be precise. And that brings me to him. My senior coworker. On paper, he's my mentor. In reality, he's the guy who found a way to make every responsibility magically roll downhill, straight into my lap. Now, my workplace is 20 minutes from home by car. I drive every day. It's convenient, flexible, safe, and honestly necessary because my shifts change unpredictably between midnight, 8 a.m., and 4 p.m. He, on the other hand, has a normal 8 a.m. shift. Nice and predictable. Office hours. Routine. And yet, somehow, when something needed to be done, I ended up doing it. 1 month before a big supplier visit, an important one, the kind that can make or break quarterly performance, guess who was assigned to coordinate everything? Not him. Not the senior. Not the guy with years more experience. Me. To be clear, it was supposed to be his job. Management even said, he'll supervise, you'll support. But somehow support turned into emailing the supplier, arranging the visit schedule, prepping the documents, handling the logistics, putting together the presentation materials. Meanwhile, he walked around the office like a tourist admiring the scenery. Every time I approached him with updates, he'd give these infuriating, dismissive comments like, yeah, good. Just keep me posted. Or we'll worry about that later. Or the worst one, you're better at these things anyway. That last one always lands differently when you're a woman in a room full of men. It's never a compliment. It's a dismissal wrapped in sugar. The supplier's facility was an hour away from our office, the kind of drive you mentally prepare for. And although our company technically has a company car, neither of us had the year-long legally required certification to use it. So the norm? Drive your own car, file the reimbursement later. For weeks, my senior kept dropping hints. Not even subtle hints. I'm talking Olympic-level hinting. He'd ask, so, you've been to that part of the city before? What route do you usually take? You like driving, right? I'm not great with long drives these days. My wife borrowed my car last week, was thinking of maybe keeping it light. Every conversation circled back to driving. My driving. Him being the passenger. I would smile politely, because again, direct confrontation is not an option, and say things like, oh, I'm not sure yet. Haven't thought about it. Maybe. We'll see. But the more I avoided giving him an answer, the more he pushed, and the more irritated I became. 3 days before everything started, I overheard him talking to our manager. I wasn't even eavesdropping, they were speaking loudly enough for the entire floor to hear. He said, "We still don't have a solid plan for transport, but don't worry, I'll figure something out." Figure something out. That phrase stuck in my head like a splinter. Because whenever this man said he'd figure something out, it meant I would be figuring it out, doing it, and then he would casually take the credit. So I waited. 1 day. 2 days. 3 days. Nothing. No plan. No update. Not even a text. Just more jokes about how he hated driving and how some people are just better behind the wheel. That was it. That was the moment the idea came to me. A small idea. Simple. Elegant. Beautiful. I decided to stop bringing my car to work. If he wanted to avoid responsibility, I'd show him what happens when I avoid assumptions. The next morning, I woke up an hour early, which hurt. I love my sleep. But I was powered by pure, refined spite. Premium grade. The kind you can smell. I walked to the bus stop in the dark, boarded the overcrowded public transport route, and endured the 60-minute ride filled with traffic, strange smells, and people who looked half dead. I didn't even complain. In fact, I enjoyed it. Because every minute spent on that bus was 1 minute closer to watching his plan implode. By day 3, my manager finally noticed. He asked, "Why aren't you driving? You always drive." I put on my best reluctant honesty face and said, "Oh, my brother's in town. He wanted to visit the city with his girlfriend, so I let him borrow my car for a few days." A harmless lie. A believable lie. A lie backed by the fact that my brother does visit occasionally, so no one questioned it. My manager nodded sympathetically. "Oh, that's nice of you." Perfect. That afternoon, I drafted an email. Polite. Professional. Deceptively innocent. It asked the supplier if there were alternate ways to reach them since our transportation plan fell through. And, here's the key, I CC'd both my manager and my senior. I hit send. 20 minutes later, my manager stormed over to my senior like a man possessed. His voice echoed through the floor, "This is what you call figuring something out. You leave everything to your junior and then expect her to magically fix it? This is shameful behavior. Absolutely shameful." I sat at my desk quietly, typing away, pretending to be surprised. Inside, I was sipping an imaginary cup of tea and watching karma dance. My senior's face was priceless. Red cheeks. Sweaty forehead. Jaw clenched like he was chewing rocks. He mumbled something about misunderstandings and miscommunication, but my manager cut him off again, "You will drive." And just like that, revenge was set in stone. On the morning of the visit, he picked me up. The silence in that car could have cut glass. He was embarrassed. Angry. But more importantly, he was exposed. For once, everyone saw exactly what I had been dealing with all along, the laziness, the avoidance, the subtle weaponized incompetence. The drive was long. Stiff. Quiet. He dropped me off afterward with a fake smile plastered on his face, trying, and failing, to look composed. And the next morning? I rolled up to the office, in my car. Perfectly parked. Windows clean. Engine humming. Like nothing ever happened. He saw me. Our eyes met. And the confusion on his face. Then the realization. Then the defeat. It was delicious. He knew. I knew. But he couldn't say a damn thing without admitting he'd been trying to manipulate me for weeks. And in our workplace, losing face publicly? That's something men like him never recover from. I went back to my desk smiling. And that was my petty, perfect revenge. Watching him squirm during that drive was satisfying, but watching him avoid eye contact afterward? That was the dessert. He stopped dumping tasks on me. Stopped making hints. Stopped assuming I'd pick up his slack. Fear is a powerful teacher. Embarrassment is even better. And being publicly called out by your boss? That's a full education right there. He learned a lesson without me ever raising my voice, confronting him directly, or stepping outside the unwritten rules of our toxic industry. That's the thing about quiet revenge. It doesn't need noise. Just precision. Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't dramatic or explosive. It's subtle. Strategic. A mirror held up long enough for someone to finally see who they really are. Respect is not given freely, especially in workplaces like mine. Sometimes, you have to earn it through silence, planning, and one perfectly timed lie. If you enjoyed this story of quiet, calculated justice, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying petty revenge you've ever seen? Your support helps this channel grow, and lets me bring you more stories where karma shows up wearing work boots. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.